Let's break it down. You brought up lead acid. We've talked about lithium ion. I know when my husband was looking at batteries, there was also an AGM type system battery. Can you just, for listeners that are like me and not familiar, break down those different types of batteries?
You mentioned absorbed glass mat. Basically, AGM is a type of lead acid battery, as is a flooded battery, a sealed lead acid battery. It's based on the same chemistry associated with lead and sulfuric acid. And it's that electrochemical reaction that delivers the electron you need to power. Lithium ion is a little different. It's based on chemical reactions involving a lithium ion. And it's a completely different mechanism. But what's really nice about it compared to a lead acid battery is that you can pack in more power in a smaller space and with less weight. And another big difference is that you can deliver a lot more power without having that voltage sag that you experience with a lead acid battery. That is, it has a lot less impedance, a lot less resistance to delivering power. So those differences, the fact that it's lighter and the fact that it can deliver such efficient power, other than the fundamental chemistry, that is something that really describes why those two chemistries are different. There are other types of batteries as well. There's nickel cadmium batteries and nickel metal hydride. So those aren't the only two, but for RVing in particular, historically it was, flooded lead acid to sealed lead acid to AGM, and now evolving into the next generation lithium ion, specifically lithium iron phosphate batteries.
I would imagine that presenting this to the RV community, something different, something new. And it's my understanding that overall lithium batteries, the upfront cost is more, and you could talk to that. What were the challenges? How receptive was the RV community to this idea of lithium batteries?
The two biggest obstacles were cost and safety. So with the cost issue, and even at the time, the upfront cost was even, higher than it is now. But the argument that we successfully made to the RV community was that the cost of ownership was a lot lower. So a lithium ion battery can cycle so many more times than a lead acid battery without degrading, that you have to count that lifetime.
I'm gonna stop you because can you explain what that means again for I'm the teacher that had to break things down.
Another really big difference between a lithium ion battery and a lead acid battery is the number of times it can be cycled. So when you cycle a battery, what it means is you're draining it, using up the power, and then you're charging it back up again.
Okay.
And that's one cycle. A lead acid battery will typically last hundreds of cycles, whereas a lithium ion battery, particularly a lithium iron phosphate battery, will last thousands of cycles. So even though there's a higher upfront cost for lithium, if you amortize that cost over the lifetime of the battery, it's actually a fraction of the cost of lead acid. So the cost of ownership is much less. So that's how we address the cost issue, the upfront cost issue for lithium ion batteries. And then the other issue was the safety issue. And at the time, there were some pretty high profile fires having to do with, the cell phone explosions or hoverboard type, scooters, whatever. There was some basically low quality stuff out there that was a particularly volatile chemistry that is different than lithium iron phosphate. So we had to educate 2 points. The first is that we're not using that kind of chemistry, which is lithium cobalt oxide. We're using lithium iron phosphate, which is inherently safer. And then the second point is you can design a battery pack where the chance of a fire is very, very, very low. And that's how we designed our packs. We basically made it so that you can't have propagation of thermal events. And once you convince the customer that it's cheaper and it's safer than you think, now all of a sudden all the other benefits become that much clearer, that much better. It's like, okay, so now I could actually power an air conditioner off grid. I've never heard of that before, you know. So that was sort of an aha moment for a lot of them.
Right. And being able to do those things has certainly made a difference to RVers and how they RV. The lithium battery, is a game changer. I've seen it over the 4 years that I've been involved in RVing.